Welcome to this week's edition of the coronavirus. Well, it's not just about the coronavirus, but it's all about the coronavirus. Every Friday from 1 to 3, we take a look at the impact of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. This will be no different. This week, we will be discussing the Small Business Assistance Program. And then also we'll be talking to Washington State's Interscholastic Activities, the Washington State Interscholastic Activities Association Athletic Director, Mick Hoffman, who will be telling us about sports, at least what they're trying to do or what they're thinking about doing or where we are at for middle school and high school sports throughout the state during this period of the coronavirus. Also, Callie Knight will be joining us from King County to talk about masks, everything masks, and a number of other things related to COVID and King County. And we'll also be taking your phone calls at 206 290 U5 9685. That's YOU5. So again, that number is 206 290 9685. 206 290 YOU5. And joining me on the air right now is the Director of King County Local Services, John Taylor. John, how are you?
Great. Good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Well, John, it is a pleasure to have you on. We're going to be talking about the Small Business Assistance Program. Now, my understanding is that the application deadline is actually today. Is that correct?
It is midnight tonight, but there is still time for small businesses that are interested in applying for a grant up to $5,000 to apply.
All right. Well, we want to make sure that we get information out there and provide people with the resources they need if they need help to get this grant done. I'm sure what you want to do, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is you want to get this money into the hands of small business owners.
That is correct. So this is a grant program that was created by the King County Council back in June. And we have an amazing team of people at the Department of Local Services that took it from council direction to actually having grant applications and materials available to people within a couple, 3 weeks. We put the grant out in June 26th. We extended it for 1 week to let more people come in. And our goal is to close it at midnight tonight, start making decisions about who's getting money, and have the money out the door by August.
All right,
So
now
keep businesses open.
Now this is again for unincorporated King County. For anyone who just may be unaware of or don't know if you're eligible, or and we'll talk about this a little bit more about why specifically unincorporated King County. But what does that mean, unincorporated King County?
That is a great question. So if you live in the city of Seattle, for example, you're in incorporated King County, you are in a city and your local government is your city government. And that's true in Seattle, SeaTac, Burien, Shoreline, Renton. But everything that's outside of those cities is unincorporated King County. Now, most of that is real rural King County out towards the Cascades, think outside of Snoqualmie or North Bend. But there are pockets of unincorporated areas within urban King County. Skyway is an example of an urban unincorporated area. White Center is another example. And the reason these grants are just for those areas is this is a grant program sponsored by the county government of King County. And it's targeted at those businesses, those small businesses in unincorporated King County, particularly in communities that have been long underserved, like Skyway and White Center, where we have high proportions of folks who are low income and people of color. And the county council made a decision that's where they wanted a lot of this money targeted at, those very underserved areas, those areas where there are small businesses that may not have been able to access federal assistance and don't have a city government to help them.
All right. Again, you're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. This is our special coronavirus, impacts of the coronavirus on South Seattle and surrounding communities. Joining me is John Taylor, the director of King County Local Services. King County will be accepting applications again, unincorporated King County for small business grant awards, and that deadline is today, midnight. And you can potentially be reimbursed for up to $5,000 for expenses such as expenses like rent, utility payments, or payroll. Let's talk about that and give folks a kind of a more clear definition. What can this money be used for?
So essentially what you need to do is just send us whatever COVID related losses you've suffered. So if if you've had a fall off in business, you weren't able to pay rent, you weren't able to pay utilities, you may have had other bills that you needed to pay. Those are all eligible costs that are reimbursable from this grant fund.
Okay, and let's talk about why you're doing this. There's a number of things we want to get into. You talked about that a little bit, and we know that the coronavirus has impacted people in a number of different ways. Of course, it's impacted small business. It's made matters worse for communities who were already struggling and impacted by another of other disparities or systemic oppressions. But again, specifically, and you mentioned like White Center and Skyway as a couple of other areas. Is this because they are ineligible for other grants? What is the specific need for unincorporated King County?
What we found was that in doing a lot of outreach to businesses, and we have, when the executive created the Department of Local Services, he created the first unincorporated area economic development program we've had in a really, really long while in King County. And we have a great economic development manager, Hugo Garcia, who is a child of White Center and has real deep roots in that community. And we've done a lot of business outreach. And what we found were the businesses that are immigrant, refugee owned, or people who have barriers to language aren't able to access SBA, Small Business Administration grant programs, and a lot of the federal assistance that was coming forward in the same way that more established businesses where there aren't language barriers are able to. And so we really made that a focus. The county executive made that a focus. The county council made that a focus. And so we've really been trying to target resources to those businesses that we know may have missed the boat on the federal assistance that was available early in this crisis. And we've seen a number of businesses come in applying for this aid. We've had about 1,100 applications as of this morning. I'm hoping we'll see a lot more before the day closes today. Thanks to your radio show. Thank you for helping us make awareness of this program. But we've been doing really, really targeted outreach in multiple languages. So we put materials out in the top 6 languages in the county. We've done a number of radio shows on Spanish language radio. So Hugo has actually gone on Spanish language radio a number of times and done what I'm doing here. We've been out in the community promoting this program. We actually went and canvassed every single business district, major business district in unincorporated King County, from White Center to Skyway to Fairwood to Fall City and Preston, just to make business owners aware of this program. So we're really trying to get the word out, really trying to get the dollars out. And it's critical because for these small businesses, $5,000 can make them or break them in this period where they've been closed. And what we're trying to do is keep businesses solvent and enable them to rebound from this pandemic when things improve and they're able to open up.
My guest again is John Taylor, Director of King County Local Services. We're talking about the Small Business Assistance Program. Look, here's the deal. If you're listening right now and you know someone who has a small business, today's the deadline. We're going to talk about assistance that can be available. Get them to tune into this, and when this show is over, they'll be able to go online and listen to it again. We're going to try and get you all of the information to relieve what you might see as barriers to being and participating in this program. So let's start with that. There may be folks again who are about to do it, who know about it, and again, there may be some folks right now who don't know. And think that I can't be eligible, and I don't know how to fill out a grant application, and you know what? Right now, I'm just struggling to keep my doors open. What type of assistance? And well, let's start with this: is there assistance in helping people with filling out the application who might find that they have barriers to completing the application?
That's a great question. So when the council and the executive proposed this program, it was a $4 million program. $3.5 million of it is grants. $500,000 of it is technical assistance and language services, so that folks who do have barriers, may not be familiar with filling out applications for things like business assistant grants, can get those. And all they need to do is go to our website, which is kingcounty.gov. Hang on, I'm going to pull it up. kingcounty.gov, local services. Just go to kingcounty.gov, local services, and you'll see the header for the grant program, and you can go in there. That'll enable you to go start the application process, or if you need technical assistance, to access technical assistance.
I'm going to give people a chance here who might be listening. I'm going to give folks, I'm stalling right now. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, hey, wait a minute, I can use some assistance, I'm going to give you a second to break out your phone, to break out your laptop. And what is that web address again, John, that they can go to?
It is King County, all one word, .gov, and then / local services, and that'll get you there.
Okay, and I know we're going to be unloading a lot of information on folks right now, and one more piece of information is this number, 206-290-9685. You may be able to remember it easier by 206-290-U5. And when you go on the website, if you have a question, give us a call, and we'll see if we can't get John to answer that question for you. So I kind of interrupted you, John. You were going on the website. I just wanted to give people a chance to catch up if they're thinking, hey, this thing ends at midnight, I want to do this. So I'll let you go back to now. You were bringing up the application online.
Yeah, and people can also just go to that website and they can find access to technical assistance there as well. There's also a portal on the probably the easiest place to go is just King County's main webpage. We also put a link there. So we're very prevalent on the King County website right now. So it's easy for people to find it.
Okay. If for any reason at this point in time, someone is unable to access this information online or through the internet, is that the only way right now to beat that deadline? Can you mail this in? Can you bring it in? Is there something else? Or right now, are we looking at strictly having this done online?
No, there are paper applications available throughout the county. And I'm going to I'll get you the locations for those. There are about 6 different places in the county where we've got paper applications, if that's something that people prefer. Also, if people just want to call in, they can call this number, which is the technical assistance number, and that is 206-331-3275. 206-331-3275.
All right, and I know we're throwing a lot of information out at you, so if any of these numbers don't stick, email us, get in contact with us. Again, you'll be able to listen to the show probably about 15 minutes after the show's done. You can go back online to our Facebook page and catch this information. Once again, I'm talking to John Taylor, the director of local services for King County. Here's the deal. There's up to $5,000 available for small business owners in unincorporated King County. The thing is, the deadline is today. John, you talked a little bit about getting the word out. What are some of the challenges that you faced when you said you've done quite a bit of trying to get the word out here in a number of different ways for folks who again might be thinking I'm not eligible? Do you have to have a physical manifestation of a storefront? What does it mean to be in business to make you eligible for this potential grant?
That's a great question. You need to have a business license through the Secretary of State's office, which is a pretty standard thing for anyone who's transacting business and has to file taxes. you need to be located, your business needs to be located in unincorporated King County. And on the application website, there's a tool that will help tell you whether you are or are not. One of the things that we're seeing is we have a lot of applications coming in. We do have a lot of folks who are confused about whether they're in a city or an unincorporated King County. And I think that your lead in to this interview was really poignant in that regard. I think that most people don't understand what it means to be an unincorporated King County, especially if you're in one of the urban in-holdings like Skyway or White Center or Fairwood or East Federal Way, which are distinct neighborhoods in our community, but are not part of any city.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and you can see, John, and I'm trying to make sure that folks know you've got time. And I'm trying to put a sense of urgency on this. And in particular, for those folks out there who have businesses who've been thinking, I'm underwater, this isn't working, I don't know where to get help. Hey, here is some assistance for you. And again, John, what we're talking about here is things that have impacted and affected your business because of the coronavirus. And that could be a number of different things. So it might be rent. It could be being utilities. And tell me if I'm off base here. It could be the fact that the reduction of earnings that you've had because of coronavirus. We've been on isolation. People haven't been able to get out. And those are just a few. Am I off base on any of those things?
No, you are dead on. You are dead on. This is to help. We really want to keep small businesses thriving in this community. You know, people lose sight of the fact we talk a lot about Amazon and we talk a lot about Microsoft and Boeing and their outsized economic impact to our community. But the reality is that small businesses are the backbone of the economies in almost every community in this county and more broadly in this country. Small businesses, 80% of business in this country. And they're critical to the fabric of our communities and they're critical to employment in our communities. Small businesses employ a lot of people. The businesses that are eligible for these grants are businesses who have up to 15 full-time employees. So that's a decent sized business, $1.5 million in gross revenue. If you have under that many number of employees or under that amount of gross revenue, apply for this grant program. One thing I just wanted to add. So if you are someone who is not super computer literate and you don't want to apply online, there are paper applications available at locations around the county. In this area, we've got them at Patrick's Coffee and White Center. They're available at the Skyway Fire District. So if you just go up to Skyway and you go into the fire district office, they have paper applications. They're at the Snoqualmie Chamber of Commerce, the Vashon Chamber of Commerce, the White Center Community Development Association. So those are all places where you can access a paper copy of this. If you're hearing this radio show and you're thinking, boy, I would really like to apply for this, but you don't have a computer, you can go to any one of those places right now, get a paper application. And as long as it gets mailed in by the end of the day or we receive it somehow, we will deem it a legitimate application and we will consider you for grant funding.
Okay,
And
so if it's postmarked for today,
Yeah.
just get it in there. It's postmarked for today.
Tony, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make an executive decision because last time I checked, I'm the director of the department. If they could get us to us by hand no later than Monday, we would still accept it if it's a late breaking application.
Okay. Breaking news. If you can deliver this by hand, I'm going to try and get it done today. Do everything that you can. But if you can't, for some reason you can't, again, you may be finding out about it. There'll be folks who, hey, I operate my business. I can't do this right now. You can turn it in by hand on Monday. And again, the word for today, John, is redundancy as we try to deliver this message. So once again, where can you pick up a physical application?
You can get it at Patrick's Coffee Shop in White Center. You can get it at the White Center Community Development Association. You can get it at the Skyway Fire District. And if you are out in the more rural parts of King County, you can get it at the Snoqualmie Chamber of Commerce, the Vashon Chamber of Commerce. And I think that's it.
All right. And again, being eligible. What makes you eligible? You talked about some of those things before. That you're a local business, that you're registered with the state, that you have fewer than 15 employees. The amount of money that you bring in over a year, I think that was 1.5 million. Just again, go over those details for folks so that they can hear what the requirements are to be eligible for this assistance.
You got it. No more than 15 employees, no more than $1.5 million in gross annual revenue. You need to be physically located in unincorporated King County, and you need to be have a business license through Washington State.
And
And the things that will disqualify you.
okay.
Because this is federal money, you can't be a business related to marijuana growing or distribution. And you cannot have received federal assistance in any of the previous rounds. The target for these grants was folks who had kind of not been able to access federal assistance before.
All right, you're hearing it straight from the director. If you're thinking, this is not for me, I don't know how to do, you're being targeted. If you have not received assistance, the goal is to get your business some assistance. King County is accepting these applications for Small Business Grant Awards up until midnight tonight online. You've heard of a few of the locations where you can go get your paperwork and fill it out if you want to turn it in that way. And added extra value bonus that John just told us for those of you who may be listening right now. And again, you can go back and watch this later. If you can turn this in by hand on Monday, John, I'm putting it out there because you said it. You will continue, and I'm going to say by close of business Monday. Is that accurate?
I will commit to that right now.
Okay, by close of business Monday, you will still be eligible to get this grant. If you need help filling out the application, again, the number to call, and that could be an interpreter, right? If you need assistance, if you need an interpreter. The number to call is 206 331 3275. Again, I'm going to give you that number. If you need some help, if you need any technical assistance or a coaching, or you need an interpreter, don't let that be a barrier. There are people who are going to be there to help you. And how long, maybe, John, until 5 o'clock will this phone number be active? Is that about right?
I don't know the answer to that question. Let's say definitely until 5 o'clock. It could be later than that, and I will find out.
Okay. So 206 331 3275. That's the number to call if you have questions about filling out this application. I understand that there may be a sense of urgency now, and that may even amplify and exacerbate your tension in filling this application out. But that's not what we're going here for, right, John? We want to provide people assistance. And again, you said this, if you priority is for those folks who have not yet received a grant. Is that correct?
That is correct. We want to help those people who have missed out on earlier rounds of federal grant funding. And we think there are a lot of them out there. So if you haven't been able to get grants from the Small Business Administration or the Paycheck Protection funding from the federal government, this is your grant program. Call that number, 206-331-3275. And they can help you fill out an application today. You don't even need to worry about a paper application. They'll do the work for you if you call that number, and they'll actually put in all the info for you.
Wow. Again, John, the word for me today is redundancy. Repeat this information. Lock folks in. Let them know that it's happening.
What a great job.
And that you are more than likely eligible for this. At the very least, give it a shot to get your business. We've only got a couple of minutes left. And I don't know if I've, again, trying to get this point out there, have not given you the opportunity to say something that you really want to communicate. I appreciate you sharing the importance of small businesses in our community and the impact that they have, not only in providing services, but as employers as well. But in this last minute, 30 seconds or 2 minutes or so, John, is there anything that you want to say to folks?
No, I just want to say thank you for creating a platform for us to get this information out. You've just been great. It's really important for folks to support their small businesses during this time, and for us to support small businesses during this time. And I live in the Rainier Valley. This is one of the hardest hit parts of King County by COVID-19. When you look at the numbers, Rainier Valley and South King County have just had a disproportionate impact. And I think that, when you look at this pandemic and the impacts it's had on the community, and a lot of people have made this observation, so it's not like it's fresh thinking from me, it shines a bright light on a lot of the built-in inequities in our society and our community, and who bears the brunt when these kinds of crises come down the road. And this is one small step to try to address some of those inequities and make it a little easier for people. So please take advantage of it if you've been listening to this radio show. And Tony, really appreciate the help.
Again, my guest, John Taylor, Director for King County Local Services. Up to $5,000 if you're a small business in unincorporated King County. Skyway, are you listening? White Center, are you listening? Fairfield, and you mentioned a couple of the Fall Cities. If you're listening, you have time. You have up until midnight tonight, and the extra added value bonus. If it turns out that you are unable to do this and get it in by midnight for whatever reason, you heard it on the show, and you can play this tape back to John if you want to. You have until 5 o'clock on Monday. All right, you have until 5 o'clock on Monday to walk this in, and you will still be eligible. John, thanks for what y'all are doing over there and helping small businesses. Coming up here, we'll be talking to the WIAA, Washington Interscholastic Activities Association Executive Director, Mick Hoffman, and we're going to try and see if we can get some answers, if there are any, about what's going to be taking place with high school sports this fall. We'll be back right after this. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Point pen in a spare 10 minutes. We'll get the message sent that you hear. Keep listening. Some roads get fixed. Less needs go unmentioned. And privacy's a must. Not a word gets mentioned. Just keep in mind the youth as the time goes by. Let's clean up the streets, hold down the block. See, we beat the key that opens the lock.
Yeah, this time, we all gonna be counted.
Demand to be counted. Complete the census by phone or online. This message is brought to you by the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle.